Jai Jawan, Jai Kisan. All of us have heard this slogan. Farmers are the backbone of the country. Around 600 million people, the 50% of the country's population, is involved in agricultural based activities. Farmers contribute 17% to the Indian economy. Yet their condition is never more dire. In the year 2014, 12,360 farmers committed suicide. Around 52% of the farmers are indebted. The farmer's condition has never been more dire. In today's episode, we are going to discuss the three ordinances passed by the Narendra Modi government and the effect that farmers think that it could cause on them. This is Abrar Ashraf on the Satyagraha for the Watchdog. Before we would begin to dissect these ordinances, allow me to give you a brief synopsis of what they are. 1. They insist on dismantling the monopoly of the mandi system. Second, they intend to provide a legal framework for the farmers to enter into contracts with the big companies and produce for them. Third, it allows the companies to stock food and regulate and operate without government restrictions and regulations. MSP, minimum support price, is a safety net for the farmers, an insurance if you may. The farmers fear that if these three ordinances will be put in place, the MSP, the minimum support price that the government offers the farmers in case if their crops are not sold at other prices or at other places, the government would buy their crops at minimum support price. And with these three ordinances, farmers fear that MSP would be left null and void. Even though if it would be there, it would be cosmetic and never followed in letter and spirit. The second fear that the farmers have is that MSP would not exist between their trade with the companies or with the sellers outside the mandis, because the trade would not be dictated by the government. The trade would not be regulated. In the mandis, the trade is always regulated, and even if it isn't sold, the farmers would get the minimum support price. The third fear that the farmers have is that because the trade outside the mandis is tax free, the mandis would disintegrate and the safety net for the farmers would vanish with time. The fourth fear that the farmers have is that the prices of the products would be dictated by the corporates, would be dictated by the buyers, and the farmers themselves would have no say in the setting up of the prices. And it is genuine because they think that their safety net would be lost. Farmers fear society. The imposition of these farm bills would cause three implications, in my opinion. One, it would bloom or mushroom the crony capitalism in the country, and the neoliberal structure of this country would be exploited, and the farmers would be at the leash of that, and the farmers would be at the end of that. The second fear, that the second implication that in my opinion these farm bills would cause is that it would impact the reverse migration of the people who have migrated from the cities post COVID-19. The third implication, in my opinion, that the imposition of this farm bill would cause is that the farmers would be forced to enter binding contracts with the corporations or with the buyers, and in some cases it would lead to unnecessary suits, it would lead to unnecessary court battles that farmers in our country are not braced to fight. The farmers in our country are incapable to fight, and always, like always, the corporates would win and farmers would lose. And we have to think about where this would lead and where the country would lead because of this. Besides, the farm bills does not have much to offer when we talk about the concept one nation, one market, because farmers already had this freedom to sell their produce, sell their crops anywhere in the country, and this one nation, one market concept was already there and it already existed. So there's nothing new with the farm bills in that concept. Coming back to the farmers' protests, in a vibrant democracy, everyone has a right to protest against an executive order or against an injustice that he feels infringes upon his right, that he feels infringes upon his personal liberty. And in the same case, farmers have met, unfortunately, a brute and sheer force on part of the government. The farmers, the poor and impoverished of this country are demanding three things from the government. One, they are demanding that these ordinances be rolled back. Second, they are demanding that mandis, agricultural produce market communities, be protected. And third, they are demanding, and this one is very important, that the farm loans be waived or farm loans be cleared. And now remember, farm loans are a major driving factor behind the rising and steep ascent of the farmers' suicide. And this is important. The farmers' demands should be listened. Otherwise, in my opinion, I think that the country would lead towards an oblivion if the farmers' demands are not met. And otherwise, I think the country's future would be bleak. Thank you for bearing with me. I'm Abrar Ashraf on the Satyagraha for the Watchdog.